I just interviewed Laxman. He grew up without a computer in his house, but when he got into college, he figured out a way to make $400,000 from the internet as a broke college student.
So it wasn't a fancy VC-funded exit story kind of a thing, but it made me enough money when I was back in India, still in college, made me enough money that could let me run for the next 10 years. Whether I kind of succeed or fail, I had that runway.
And here's the part that blew my mind. His entire $400,000 business ran just off of a Google Sheet, Gmail, and a Facebook chat. From there, he moved to Silicon Valley and started even more companies. And one of them landed him a big acquisition in 2024.
All these advertisers who advertise with me also used to ask me for recommendations, like, hey, do you have any other friends in a similar niche that I could go and advertise? So first I used to just connect them for free, but later on the idea came, why don't I become a marketplace?
In this video, I sat down with Laxman to learn how to turn scrappy experiments into sustainable income, how to get your first paying customers by building in public, and the exact growth hacking strategy he used to make $80K in 20 days. Let's dive in. Laxman, how many businesses have you started?
I started countless and failed on countless, but the one I could count on for this kind of interviews is probably 3.
What were the outcomes of those 3?
So the first one is probably the one that kind of set me up for the longer run in terms of the entrepreneurship, but obviously because I don't come from money, so in terms of runway, the first one gave me the runway for the next 10 years almost. So it wasn't a fancy VC funded exit story kind of a thing, but it made me enough money when I was back in India, still in college, made me enough money that could let me run for the next 10 years. Whether I kind of succeed or fail, I had that runway. So I would call even today, the first one was the most successful one. Even I got the exit recently.
Kept you in the game, right?
Yep,
to get
exactly.
the next one. What was that business and what was that exit?
Yeah, so that was a blogging platform. So when I was in college, the first way I got the first access that I got to computers or the internet was in my college. I had no computer, no internet at my home. So when I first got the internet at college, I got exposed to the Blogger by Google, I think, blogger.com, which would kind of let you build a page for yourself and put your thoughts on. I started off there and then I became a professional blogger. I don't know what the meaning of professional at that point, but I became a full-time kind of a blogger where I used to write a lot of stuff, how to pair 2 routers if you have 2 routers at your home. So all sorts of things. So at one point, other than the AdSense revenue, private advertisers used to come and fill out that contact form asking to write about their business for the backlinks. Like, I don't know if it's still relevant, the search engine optimization backlinks. Of course, it's relevant, but back then people used to buy a lot of backlinks. So advertisers used to come and pay me directly, which is way more than what I was getting through AdSense. So that got me to thinking, like, can we do anything in this lines? And the most important part is all these advertisers who advertise with me also used to ask me for recommendations. Like, hey, do you have any other friends in a similar niche that I could go and advertise? So first I used to just connect them for free, but later on the idea came, why don't I become a marketplace? So I put up a simple domain, a WordPress page called as like the world's largest blog network. And then I had this Google Sheet where I listed down all the blogs that I know. And when an advertiser comes in, I used to show them all these blogs, like, hey, all these blogs are part of my network. And this is the page rank, traffic, and all that stuff. And do you want to advertise on any of them? And they pick like 5 or 10. I give them a quote. And then I go and talk to these bloggers like, hey, I got an opportunity for you. You want to do it? And then I pay them and then I take a cut. So that's the first business, literally putting all these blogs on a Google Sheet and then matching them with the advertisers or a Gmail.
You presented this in a way that they're in your network, and then they were in your network because you reached out to them.
Yep.
And you didn't ask for permission first. You didn't build any tech. You just put it in a Google Sheet.
Yeah, just a Google Sheet. And then Facebook chat with all these bloggers. So bloggers used to be on Facebook a lot. I don't know where they are today, but it's just the Facebook. And then I used to chat with them like, hey, I got this advertiser. Would you be open to write a review about them? Or would you be open to do a video about them? And when they say yes, that's when I kind of confirm it to the client that, okay, we have gone through all our partners and these are the blogs that we can work with you.
And so then what ended up happening with that business?
I did that for almost 3 years when I was in college. And this was all back in India at the time, I would say 2006, 2007, way back in. And I made more than 400K in those 3 years. In college, being in India, that's a lot of money.
And all the while, you didn't overcomplicate it though. You had people asking you for this. You were like, maybe this is a business opportunity. Started very simple with a Google Sheet. One thing led to the next thing. And all of a sudden you've grown it pretty significantly, got some revenue out of it. And then what happened?
I had this idea, Outplay, in my mind since my college days. It goes back to the roots of those blogging days. So sometimes advertisers come and select like 200, 300 blogs. So at one point we have grown the network to 800 bloggers. Still same Google Sheets and all that stuff, but for everybody we are pretending to be a network with everything built. Right. So, but I was the single person doing all this work nighttime, reaching out to all these hundreds of bloggers, because first I have to ask the blogger consent whether they want to advertise the brand or not, and then take all that to the brand and again ask them to select which blogs you want to go on. So all this work is a lot of emails and manually copy pasting from Google Sheets to the Gmail, going back and forth. So this is something that my co-founder and my brother saw me doing all night, because I was working in the US time zones, the daytime I had a college. So he saw me and he built a simple Chrome plugin that would automatically copy these cells on the Google Sheet, puts them on Gmail, picks a template, puts it on Gmail and sends it out. Nothing fancy, simple, right? And then when I started the actual startups like AppFirality, I've used a bunch of tools then. So there are SaaS products which would automate this outreach process. And there is LinkedIn and there is ZoomInfo. It's not simple limit of 300, 800 bloggers now. Now your TAM is like so big.
Yep.
And now I have to send emails to all those people. I have to make calls to all those people. So is there a solution for that? I've seen there are few in the market, but they are kind of enterprise solutions at that point. Now there are a lot, but at that point there were only 2 big companies that were selling, and they don't even talk to you if you have less than 10 sales reps. So we thought this is the idea, but I don't want to repeat the earlier mistakes of building something and then realizing it's not going to go big, right? So this time we had like 10, 12 checkpoints. So first thing, you should have a competitor already in the market. They should have raised a bunch of money. They should have an employees. That gives you the confidence that, okay, this is not something you're just thinking that people have a problem. People really have a problem.
They're paying for it already.
They're paying for it already.
Yeah.
That's the first checkpoint. That I didn't do that in my previous ideas. Right. So we had these checkpoints, and then one of the checkpoints is to talk to at least 200 customers as well. So I went on to LinkedIn. I kind of DM'd almost 800 to 1,000 folks in US, all the sales leadership, sales managers, VP of sales in the industry. I've pinged them like, hey, I'm a startup founder. I'm looking to build this solution, which is an alternate for XYZ and ABC. And I'm giving a $100 gift card, Amazon gift card. If you could spend 15 minutes with me, just answer a bunch of questions. So this is a strategy I used literally. And I spoke to 200 of them. I've asked them, why do you use XYZ? What do you like? What do you don't like? And all those insights were there. So that's how we approached it in a proper way of building startup this time. Do all the groundwork for almost 6 months and then presented all that to my investors as well. And then we started building it.
And so you continue to do these growth hacks and continue to grow, and then what happens?
So the game is so tough now. There are almost 6 to 8 bigger players already in the market, and they were all doing their own stuff at one point, but they started now coming into each other's space. So there is a huge competition that's happening, and that's when we took a call like it's better to join somebody rather than becoming one at this point because of all the macroeconomic conditions and all that happening. So we sold the company in last year of October 2024. We got acquired by another company called JungleWorks, and now we are part of that, running as an independent entity, and I'm still running the show.
Amazing. So it's going on 1 year. What were the terms of that acquisition?
We didn't disclose the numbers on that acquisition part, but this company has a lot of customers and they were doing other adjacent stuff like CRM and all that stuff. So they had a marketing automation, they had a CRM, now they want to get into the sales tech as well. So that's where we found to be a great match, and we merged with them. Now it's kind of, you can call it like a HubSpot for AI first world, you can say. Now both the products that they have and Outplay became Outplay, and we are running as an independent entity on that. Yeah.
And you're in this super unique spot where you've done the VC route, you've raised money, you've built a big business, and you see that on the B2B level. Then on the other hand, your son Shrihan is 10 years old and he's building this SaaS app on, by himself.
Yeah.
What would be your advice to other entrepreneurs out there? Maybe not necessarily 10-year-olds, but somebody who wants to create their own software or AI tool, knowing everything that you know, what would you go after today?
Yeah, if you have an idea, doesn't matter how young or how old are you. If you have an idea, this is the best time. There has never been a better time than this to give wings to your idea, because you don't even have to hire a developer, or you don't even have to wait for somebody. You just go into ChatGPT, get a prompt, give it to Cursor, Lovable, a bunch of tools that kind of can build the entire thing for you. And then you just go on LinkedIn and start selling to the people, or Twitter, start selling to the people.
In many ways, everything has changed with AI. It's so much easier, but also really nothing has changed, right? It's like you have to build something that people like and want to pay for. And looking back at your story, which I think is so cool, you've learned along the way, you have that checklist to talk to 200 customers, get them to pay first, build something, insert yourself into the conversation where your target customer is. You did the Call of Fame, you did the live LinkedIn cold calling, using that as a lens of what are creative ways to get the attention of who I want to sell and see if the thing that you're creating is valuable.
Oh yeah, exactly. The fundamentals are not changed and they will never change. So you got to have a great idea. You got to find something that people are ready to pay. The only things changed is the entry barrier is very low now. You don't need to quit your job. You don't need to raise money. You don't need to hire a bunch of people. You don't need an office. Literally, you don't need anything. You could just think of an idea, draw it on a paper, take a picture, give it to AI tools, kind of can build you don't even have to do the wireframing. You can actually build the real screens and demo it to people without building anything.
At a certain point too, you launched on AppSumo?
I've launched on AppSumo. Yeah, that's an interesting thing that I forgot when you asked about Outplay story, is as part of those checklists and all that stuff, one of the things that we thought was, when you build something new like that, like Outplay, because Outplay is kind of a tool where if you have 10 sales reps and if you buy Outplay, your entire organization literally runs on Outplay, because if something breaks, your 10 sales reps will be sitting idle for that day, because that's where they do the action. They do mails, they do calls, everything they do there. So the tool has to be so good. The fake it until you make it kind of things won't work on this kind of a tool, right? So we said we have to recruit a lot of users in short time to test this thing actually, because this tool has a lot of unique things like tracking whether an email has been opened or not. So you need to have the pixel. You have to test it across all the mail clients like your Gmail, your Microsoft Outlook, and all the sorts of things, right? So at that point, I don't know how I came across AppSumo, but I've heard about AppSumo. I did some research and I thought this is the best place to recruit a lot of customers in a short amount of time, and not only get the revenue, but also get the great feedback. So that's when I reached out to AppSumo. It wasn't easy because AppSumo was looking for so many things at that point. Even now also, obviously, you need a working product, a trusted founder, and all that stuff. So we have gone through all the checklist to qualify, and we qualified, we have launched it, and we, I think in the first 20 days or 30 days we were live, we sold almost 3,000 odd licenses. So 3,000 odd people bought, but not all of them are using, but at least 1,000 plus people are using the product.
And how much revenue is that?
And I think we made about 80K or 90K out of that in those 20 days. But more importantly, we got these customers who are invested in now. And two things that I've learned from that is, one, obviously a lot of things are not working as customers expected. So that's a good feedback. We have turned them down in like overnights, and then more people started buying. And the most important thing I've learned about this exercise is your ideal customer profile. So until then, we were thinking only about sales reps working in these big tech, SaaS, and all that stuff. But interestingly, there is one influencer in the recruiting space. His name is David Patterson. I still remember him. He found this. He's a big time AppSumo Prime customer or something. He found the tool and he had a Facebook group of like 10 or 10K recruiters. individual recruiters, headhunters. So he posted on the group, and all of a sudden the 800 or some number of licenses went up to 1500. I was like, what the hell is happening? Like, who are these people? And they started asking me different questions than I thought, because these are recruiters and their workflow is a little different. Their integrations are a little different. Where salespeople would be happy with a HubSpot or a Pipedrive integration, but recruiters want an integration to their applicant tracking systems. So that's the first time I've realized, oh shit, we are just thinking about sales reps, but this tool can be used for a lot of other functions or verticals, where if anybody reaching out to customers or prospects or customer success use case. So we have learned a lot about use cases, learnings that I would say that AppSumo has opened up.
And then now just a few rapid fire sort of short questions before we wrap up here. If you needed to get 10 paying customers in 24 hours, how would you do it?
If I have to get 10 paying customers in first 24 hours, I would go on public and do it.
You've built 3 startups. What's the biggest mistake that you've made or that you see others making?
Yeah, so the biggest mistake typically any startup founder makes is just get an idea and then they start building it. But in this today's age and time, building is not a big thing. Like, you can easily build or you can always build, but talking to customers first and doing your research on competition and what everybody else is talking about, the similar problem in the public, that's the first thing I would encourage everybody to start doing.
Distribution over product.
Exactly. And then marketing is the holy grail of things.
So you mentioned your son Shreyan's 10 years old. He's building a SaaS app and he's gone viral with his content. He just passed 1K MRR. What are the core lessons of entrepreneurship that you're looking to instill with him?
So it should come naturally. You can't force or you can't kind of make it happen on kids. So that he has that by default in him. Like, I don't know whether he grew up watching me or what not. So he started asking me a bunch of questions, which otherwise another kid might not even ask those questions, right? So our conversations are always about, why is this way? Why are they not doing this way? Why are they doing this way? They could improve stuff by doing this and all that stuff. Like, I could sense in kind of questions he's asking. So what you can do as a parent is probably create that environment where kids are free to try whatever they want and ask a bunch of questions. And when they ask questions, just don't give them a plain answer, but make them connect those dots and get to an answer by themselves. The learning is in those connecting dots, not giving an answer.
I guess before we wrap, where can people learn more about you and your businesses?
I'm all over on LinkedIn. I'm also kind of a build in public kind of a guy on LinkedIn. Nice. I talk a lot about sales. I talk a lot about kids, raising kids and all that stuff. So you can just search me, Laxman Papanini on Google. You'll find all the channels. And if anybody wants to reach me on an email, it's laxlax@outplay.ai.
And any final message that you want to leave the viewers with, either a challenge or a takeaway, somebody who's looking to build their own business and get started in their entrepreneurial journey?
Just start today. Don't wait. There's nobody here to judge you. Just start and learn on the fly.
Amazing. Lax, thanks so much, man.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Cool.